Good afternoon, ice creamers. It is your host, Lucky Limes. I'm here again with my buddy and co-host, Mr. Cool J, Lawrence E. Gibbs. Lawrence, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing amazing, man. I'm doing amazing, and I'm doing amazing
Yes.
because Matthew Lillard has
Hmm.
finally signed on. There's been speculation for years that Stu wasn't dead, but officially
Yeah.
this week the news dropped. Matthew Lillard has signed on the dotted line for Scream VII. My mom and dad are gonna be so mad. What are your feelings on that?
Say it is so. Now, again, all right. Stu's coming back. I mean, who doesn't love Matthew Lillard? The guy is one of the most brilliant character actors of that generation. No matter what character he plays, you love him. Just like in 13 Ghosts, loved him in 13 Ghosts. When you first told me, and I was like, really, I think Limes is fucking with me on this one. Let me look it up. I'm like, holy shit, he's not fucking with me. Stu's
He's
coming
back.
back. Not figuring to myself, how the hell are they going to do that? Are they going to do it like they did with Skeet Ulrich's character of Billy Loomis in the last
Right,
one
right,
as the ghost of Christmas Scream past? Is that how
right,
they're going
right.
to do
Yeah.
it? Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. But you're right. They speculated. Did his head get crushed with the TV back in Scream 1? We don't know now.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I got okay. So I see it a couple of ways.
Mm-hmm.
So first and foremost, Stu. It's very possible that it's very easy to believe that they can write back in that Stu survived the TV thing coming on him. Because let's face it, as the series has gone on, the amount of times people get stabbed and like bam, bam, stab like all these like major places, and then at the end of the movie, it's like you see him in the ambulance, and you're like, oh come on, like you let it go because you
Dewey.
love the films, right? You love the films, but
Yeah.
you let it go. But realistically, these people would be dead if this was
Yeah.
the real world, right? So it's possible that he could have survived. What I'm wondering is in
Yeah.
what capacity he's going to be in the film. Now,
Yeah.
they can't make him the killer because it's way too obvious. He
Way too
can't,
obvious.
right? He can't be the killer. So it's either he's somehow, and again, speculation, he's either
Yeah.
somehow connected to the new killer
Mm-hmm.
or they go and do like a Hannibal Lecter type thing where he's in an insane asylum or prison, and for some reason
Yeah.
Sydney and Co go to visit him for information, and it's like one of these things, right? That's I don't
That
know. I could be off base, but
no, no, that
what
that
do
could actually be very, very interesting. But comically, I kind of see, again, the guy had a big, huge freaking TV crush on his head. I almost imagined him coming back. Yeah, I'm Stu. I'm Stu,
you?
and what do you want? It's time for my pudding.
Fucking hit me with the phone, Dad. It's super cool though, because I mean everyone,
Yeah,
I mean for years people have been like, oh no, Stu's not dead, he's gonna be the kid. And realistically,
yeah.
I was on business in Chicago when Scream 6 came out, and I went to
Hmm.
see it at one of the AMC theaters. And honestly, I gotta tell you, because I loved it, and we'll get to that because we're going to
Yeah, yeah,
talk about the
yeah.
series. But my point is that I honestly thought, right up until the reveal at the end, I was like, "Is this Stu? Is he the killer? Is he back? Is he back?" And I kind of like, although I liked the
Yeah.
reveal at the end, I kind of was like,
Uh-huh.
I was hoping it was Stu. But
Yeah.
uh,
Well,
but anyway,
yeah, no, the funny thing is there was an interview, I forgot how many years ago. Uh, I guess when they were filming Scream 5, correct me if I'm wrong, he
mm.
stated that originally he was supposed to make an appearance in Scream 3.
Oh, okay, okay,
So he was
okay.
supposed to come back, but it just, how everything was going with script and I guess some rewrites, it didn't happen. But he's like, look, I made a payday. I didn't have to do a damn thing. So, that's one thing I love about Hollywood. You don't have to do a damn thing, and hopefully you got a good agent. They love you enough. They pay you anyways. Good stuff.
Right. Pay or play, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's made me, and I'm sure it's done the same for
Mhm.
you. It's made me look back over this series because honestly, it is an impressive series. It
Oh, damn
really
good
is.
franchise.
Yeah, pound for pound, even when there are elements in it where maybe I wasn't as impressed as, say, another entry in the series, it's
Hmm.
always entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
There's always something cool, something original in each of the films.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the first one for a second,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
it's easy to forget. And obviously, we have generations now that weren't around when the first one came out in 96. It's easy
No.
to forget how that completely upended the horror genre. Because I mean, I don't
Yes.
know how you feel, and I want to ask you feelings on
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
but if I do like 90s horror, I think,
Uh-huh.
but pound for pound, there are, especially in that first half of the 90s, there's not the same amount of classics. It's like if I'd say to you,
Yeah.
hey, what are, name some classics from the 80s, you'd be like, oh, bam, bam,
Yeah.
bam, 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 right? And then I'd say go to the 70s, and you do the same thing. The 90s, okay, give me a couple of classics from the 90s that come to your mind right now.
Oh, wait. Hold. No, no, no. That was 80s. I was going to say, damn, there really isn't anything that comes to mind. 90s.
Right,
What happened?
right,
What
right.
happened,
Now,
Luigi?
now there were great films, but I was thinking about this before. I just put you on the spot,
Yeah.
and you proved my point. I know I'm a jerk. I'm sorry, but you proved my point, because if I had have done that differently and said 80s, like I said, you'd have been like, oh, yeah, da, 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 da. Outside of Silence of the Lambs, Jacob's Ladder,
Oh, yes.
um, Guillermo del Toro's Kronos. They're there, but they're few
Yeah.
and far between. But then we get to
Yeah.
Scream, and wow, like, it's what were let's have some fun here for a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your memories of seeing Scream for the first time?
I thought it was brilliantly done. It was inventive. It was original. And the one thing I'll say about the whole series that I loved, it pokes fun at itself. It realizes what it is, and it has fun with
Yeah,
itself. And in a good way, nothing that you would do in private that you should probably be ashamed of, but it has fun with itself in a good way. Did anybody get? Okay,
I got
whatever.
you.
Whatever.
I saw
But
you.
no, I thought it was very clever. It was
Yeah,
very clever. And again, Wes Craven does know how to direct horror. He really does. And the new breed of young actors and actresses in that one proved themselves worthy of you know being recognizable and earning the respect of their peers and the adoration of the fans.
right, right. And like you, to pick up on something you said there, yes, it poked fun at itself, and it poked fun at the slasher subgenre,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
but it did it affectionately. It wasn't a snobby piss take.
No.
It was, hey, look at this. But damn, we love it. But
Yeah.
we love the genre because of this. Oh, look at this
Yeah.
cliche. But we love it, right? So it was beautiful. And also it brought that mystery element to it that was like that you're like,
Yes.
you're it's like a Scooby-Doo thing. You're playing along there, like, who is doing this? Who's behind this, right?
Speaking of Scooby Doo, Matthew Lillard, Shaggy.
The only thing I like better than an eggplant burger is a chocolate covered eggplant burger.
With hot sauce. Ra-cha-cha-cha.
And what a Shaggy he was. But that's
Oh, he was
that's a
awesome.
topic
Awesome.
topic for another time.
Yeah.
But when you get to that, but when you get through that and you get to that reveal, you've kind of got the two killers,
Mhm.
and you know, the other thing that comes to mind when I think about the way that it upended the genre is one,
Mhm.
it completely opened the door to, I mean, after that, we got a slew of these teenage
Yeah.
slasher type, like, I Know What You Did
Yep.
Last Summer,
And
Disturbing
Final
Behavior,
Destination.
Final Destination, The
Yeah.
Faculty. Like there was a
Mhm.
Valentine. Like I could just keep going.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everything that was missing from the first half of the 90s, it was like an adrenaline shot that
Yeah.
suddenly boom, right?
Mhm.
And the other thing that springs to mind, and I wonder if you thought about this before, it changed the marketing. Do you notice that
Yes.
that poster, the initial poster, like it wasn't a scary poster. It was Nev Campbell,
Uh-huh.
Courtney Cox,
Yeah.
Skeet Ulrich, David
Yeah.
Arquette.
Yeah.
Like they had all the. And when you look at the posters after,
Uh-huh.
everybody was trying to emulate that. Look at the poster for I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's the
And
same
Final
thing. Here's the
Destination.
cast.
Yeah.
Final Destination,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah. What about now? We could do a whole show on Scream, but we want to kind of look at the series in general.
Yeah. Well, besides it having a realistic, again, glance at itself, looking at itself in the mirror, poking fun at itself, but again, like you said, in a respectful way to the genre and how the horror movies and slasher movies and killer movies of before played into each and every trope that it had fun with. But
Yeah.
it centers around the main early victim character, Sidney Prescott. It's kind of funny because everything subsequently afterwards, I know we're going to go over, is very incestuous.
Right,
If you really think
right.
about
I
it.
see what you, yeah, 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 yeah. You're right. You're right. Um,
And like the one sorority girl in the second one, she goes, "You're like totally 6 degrees of bacon involved, totally connect."
you know what? Let's actually now you've taken us to the second one. And I really want to talk about the second one. So I'm going to ask you,
Mhm.
because I'm going to suddenly have verbal diarrhea in a second because my love for that second film knows no ends. But I'm going to
Uh-huh.
ask you what were your so obviously you loved the first one.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
what are your feelings on Scream 2?
I think it was very well done, and again, it carried the torch. And again, making fun of itself, where Randy's character says, "Name one sequel that was better than the first. Sequels suck."
Self-referential. So.
Loved Randy, absolutely loved Randy, and he was the expert, kind of like this guy right over here. You, that's right. I'm pointing at you, the
Okay,
expert
flat.
of horror right there. But I loved his commentary and how he was so passionate about it, and he nailed every aspect of what makes a good horror and why things happen the way they happened. He
Yeah,
was the Wikipedia man. He really was.
he was, and we're going to talk about Randy in a little more depth in a second because
Yeah,
obviously we both know what happened in the second movie.
I was bummed.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, and that ties into. So I love Scream 2.
Yeah.
I think it is absolutely one of the greatest horror sequels ever
Hmm.
for many reasons. One, that film came out a year after the first one.
Yes. Yes.
Every pointer, if I would have been a betting man, I would have said this is going to suck because it's been rushed into because they're trying to pick up on
Yeah.
the momentum. Everything was against it, and wow, boom. They flipped the script
Yeah.
completely. It was not a simple retread of the first film.
No.
We had the first, okay, first off, Hot and Weary.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
a Everybody says, oh, sequels are, Randy says it. They're by definition inferior films
Yes.
because they have no story left to tell.
Yeah.
What do? Right off the bat, they pluck out that plot thread from the first movie, which was just, it was kind of, it wasn't extraness, it was important.
Mm-hmm.
But they say, okay, now we know that Cotton Weary wasn't the killer. Let's see what effect this has had on his life. And they plop him in there.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you've got great conflict right off the bat, right?
And Liv Schreiber did a phenomenal job.
Well, this was in so many ways. I mean, this was the movie that really put him on the map, right?
Yeah.
There was so much that, but and also, moving on from that. So we got the killer this time. This time around, I mean, let's be honest. In the first movie, we're thinking, could it be this person? Could it be that person? But it really could have been anyone. It could have been Sidney Prescott's dad. It could have been someone that we didn't even see in the cast.
Yeah.
This time, they up the ante because now we go in knowing the killer is someone here. We know that the killer is someone in the cast, maybe even someone who survived from the first film.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got that you've really got that suspense.
Yeah.
Then they do one of the boldest, and don't cry, I know you're going to tear up because you just did a minute ago. They do one of the boldest moves in horror ever.
Yeah.
They kill off the fan favorite character.
Yes. Someone would have lasted if they continued the franchise. This character should have lasted. You wanted him to last, but damn.
Tell me honestly that you weren't shocked when Randy got dragged into that van. And I mean, he was savagely killed. It wasn't even they didn't even give him a clean death. He got butchered.
Yeah.
Tell me you weren't shocked. I dare you.
I wasn't shocked as it got closer and closer. I was just seriously bummed because again, he was a fan favorite character. He really was. I liked him. He was entertaining. For me, he was kind of like the center glue to keep everything together and to keep everybody thinking about what's going on and what's going to happen next and who could it be? Could it be that person? Could it be this person? He was the center that people really dug. I don't know, maybe since I rewatched it a couple times, maybe when I first saw it, I probably was shocked and then kind of screaming at the screen, why the fuck did you do that?
From that second on, all bets are off. Once you've done that, anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
And that speaks to another thing what I love, and that is the way that they really expanded they really built on Sydney's character by messing with her head. She's got a new boyfriend in this, Jerry O'Connell, right? Plays Derek. And you as an audience, you're thinking, oh, is it, they kept kind of like making you think, could it be the boyfriend again? Is it the boyfriend again? And they keep saying this. It's someone that's got close to you, Sydney.
Yeah.
He's strung up.
Yeah.
And we now know that one of the two killers is Timothy Oliphant, another fascinating Mickey, right?
Mm-hmm,
and he's messing with her head, like saying, like, Derek, we got her, man. We got her. And he's like, fuck you. I'm going to kill you. Right. And she could have possibly saved him.
Possibly.
And he dies. And the tragedy of him saying, what was it? He says, you could have trusted me. And then he's dead. That is, so, again, clever, heartbreaking, right? Like,
and Timothy Oliphant's character goes, Sydney, we got to work on your trust issues. He was an innocent.
Oh my! Like the love I have for this film, it knows no bounds. But the last thing I want to say before I tie my bow on Scream 2, you may have something else to say. But the last thing I want to say is, again, coming back to Randy. What does Randy say in the first movie? He talks about horror movies. You got to keep them simplistic. Simplicity is a key. If you don't keep it simplistic, you lose your target audience. And that brings us to the beauty of the killers, because when we find out the second killer is Billy Loomis's mum,
Yeah.
the motive is just so simple. It's just revenge.
It is.
She
Yeah.
just wanted to get you killed my your mom had an affair with my husband.
Yeah.
You killed my son. Fuck you. I want revenge on you.
Yeah.
Right?
And you were right though. The one thing, again, another thing that the Scream franchise did perfectly, and I'm glad that they did it right off the bat. And yeah, you're right. A year after, the release of Scream, they're already, in production for Scream 2. I think they had to because of the age of the actors, of course, and going directly to college. But Sidney Prescott, Neve Campbell's character, Sidney Prescott, if you did not develop her, the franchise would have just tanked. It would have been a horrible gamble to make a sequel. You have to develop the main character and have them grow as an individual. You really do. Who hired the freaking security guards? Who were these detectives? Honestly, you got Tweedledum and you have Tweedledummer.
Tweedledummer.
They didn't do a damn thing. They were the worst. I wouldn't even, you know what? I wouldn't even hire them to protect me from odor perspiration. It's kind of fun. They deserve to be killed.
They did deserve to be killed. You know what? It's funny because when they did get killed, it's kind of like you got the people that you feel bad about, and you see Dewey getting stabbed, and you're like, oh no, don't kill Dewey. When those guys got killed, I think of Seinfeld. Whenever someone says something, and Jerry or Kramer picks up the cup of coffee, and they're like, that's a shame, and then just takes a right. That's exactly how I felt about those cops when they got killed. That's a shame. Right?
The guys on the hood. You better pull over him and blow your fucking brains out. Dude, you have a gun. He's in a car. Shoot him, for God's sake.
Shoot him!
You got the gun. Don't threaten it. Shoot him. Oh, but then that's like Jada Pinkett Smith's. Well, she was just Jada Pinkett at that time. In Scream 2, going, you're screaming at the screen, going, dude, just shoot him. But then again, the movie would end, and we wouldn't have much of a franchise.
But we did, because we got Scream 3.
Yes, now, we did. Yay.
You talk about character development. That's I feel Scream 3, and it's just my opinion, I feel it's a bit of a mixed bag. But the good things I would say are, I like the fact that Sydney's now become a recluse. And she's living it, because I mean, realistically, you go through that once, you go through it twice, you're gonna hide away, right? Like, because I think she says one of her lines, and it's again kind of a heartbreaking lines when why are you living out here on your own? And she's like, psychos can't kill what they can't find.
Exactly. Because the father says it's almost like you don't exist, and she's like, exactly. She's
erasing herself. Which is tragic. And I love the fact, again, another good point, I love that she's wearing the necklace with Derek's fraternity letters on it.
Yes.
Right? So that I like. What I am kind of on the fence about is they went against Randy's thing of simplicity by really overcomplicating the backstory of Maureen Prescott. I mean, originally she was just, a woman that was having affairs with people and stuff. But then was starting to dive into this. I just feel like it was, to me, a little bit convoluted when we start digging into this. Oh, she was she had a history in Hollywood. She was trying to break out in Hollywood, and she got abused by these Harvey Weinstein type directors and stuff. I feel like,
funny you mentioned them, because they were the producers of these movies.
Well, not even less said about that scumbag, the better. But he was. That's right, Miramax, right? He was. But I don't know. I just felt like I liked Patrick Dempsey's character in there, and I wasn't opposed to the Hollywood setting, but I just you can feel that they're starting to stretch the idea a little bit with that third one.
I mean, I see where you're going. I see I see your point on that one, but for me, I liked it because it peeled back further layers. It became a little more intricate, which again, Randy's rules, yes, simplicity, which at the end it was, but you can't have it be so simple where people are like, okay, why am I watching the rest of this movie? You have to add more mystery to it and more possibilities to keep people guessing and bringing the mother back because think about it, if it wasn't for the mom, we wouldn't have Scream.
It's a valid point.
So it
That's a
has
very
to bring
valid
it
point.
back to explain that further and why everything is tied together.
Right, right. You know what? That's a very cool perspective. How did you feel about the idea that, I mean, because obviously this is, I think, the only one in the series where there's one killer, right? Like every episode has multiple killers. The third entry, I don't know, did the fourth one have multiple killers, or was that a one killer?
Let's Google it.
Yeah, I'm gonna I have a reason for being a bit my knowledge being a bit hazy on four, and we'll get into that when we
Yeah.
talk about four in a minute. But the third one, how did you feel about this? Suddenly pulling out the half or the brother that she had, the half brother that she never knew, and Roman is the director. He's the guy that set Billy Loomis and Stu in motion. How do you feel about that? Were you cool with that, or?
Well, it added another plot twist, which again, too, keeps the franchise going on that one. It really does. Uh, you have to one up yourself. These writers are going to have to think, okay, we've done this. How are we going to twist the plot for the next one? How do we tie it in, and how do we make it relevant and something that people are going to look at and say, you know what, that makes sense. The motive for him again worked. I guess that's what I wanted to conclude with. The motive worked on that one. And again, it's funny because they're on the movie set about the previous one. They're doing a franchise within a franchise, which again
Yeah,
is clever and it's humorous and it's unique.
the stab movies.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
stab movies. Yeah, that the franchise within a franchise. That was great.
Yeah.
He had. I gotta. I mean, we could do a show on great lines, like
Mhm.
great quotes from the Scream movies.
Yeah.
But I will say this: he had one of my favorite quotes in the entire series, and that is when they shut down production of because obviously the killings are happening on this
Mhm.
stab. And they shut the production, and he's in the office with Lance Henriksen because Lance Henriksen is the producer. He's the
Yes.
Weinstein
Yeah.
character, and he goes, "Listen, I'm never gonna work again." And he's like, "No, no, no." Lance Henriksen, "No, no, no. You're okay. It's good. This is good for your mystique. This is good." And he's like, "Nope, nope. Variety called me a pariah. I don't even know what that is." I fucking howled when he said that, man. I was like, that is a
Yeah.
good line. That was a
Yeah.
beautiful. But before we move on, do you have any more thoughts on Scream 3, or
No, no. Again, you know, they have to really think. Again, the writers really have to pull their brains apart to figure, okay,
Mhm.
we're riding on some serious coattails here. We seem to be doing pretty well. What the hell are we going to do next time? How can we make this still relevant and unique and keep people guessing? I don't know if I would want to be under that type of pressure. That's a lot of freaking pressure, man.
They tied a nice bow on it at the end, though. I mean, like you've got, actually, yeah, I'm going to go back to Screen 3 for a second because I just
Okay.
had a thought there. They tied a nice, again, with Sydney's character arc came to a really good end, I think. The fact that at the end there, when it's over, it was even
Mhm.
kind of touching when she killed him, and as he's dying, she still like held his hand. There was still that family sort of
Yeah.
connection, even though she'd
Yeah.
never known him. I guess she felt some sorrow for him on some level. But I like the end where she opens the gates of her ranch and they're going to watch a movie together, and she's in the kitchen and she turns around and the door's open, and you, for a second, you think, oh, is this a twist?
Yeah.
But she just walks away and she's like, no, she's not scared to have the, like,
Yeah.
she's so.
That's the growth and development right there. And that's what I wanted to conclude before my brain farted on that one, with the Roman character again being related. That's another reason why they had to bring the mom back. Again, it's all woven together. It all is related.
Yeah.
And they had to do it. Without bringing the mom back, would Roman being the half brother really have stood up to pass the mustard with the fans and with the storyline? Would have had the same impact?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. It would. Yeah, no, it wouldn't have. No, you're right. But again, it would have been a good trilogy to end just there. Scream 4. Scream 4, I gotta be honest, out of all the movies, and I really need to give it a rewatch now, given how much I enjoy Scream 5 and 6. Scream 4 is the only one that actively kind of pissed me off out of all the movies. And I'm going to tell you for why.
Okay.
There was a lot of time passed between Scream 3 and Scream 4, right? Scream 3, I think, was 1999. The franchise was effectively over.
Yes.
Then we get the news in 2012 or 2011, 2012, whatever. Oh, they're going back. And when that news broke, think about this. If you remember rightly, they said, this is going to be the start of a new trilogy.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, oh, Wes Craven's coming back as director. Great. Oh, a new trilogy. Okay, I'll give it a shot. Let's see. And then I went to see it, and it just felt to me like a victory lap, because it gets to the end. And if you're gonna tell people we're starting a new trilogy, well, then that says to me there needs to be something a little open-ended at the end of the film. That's gonna there needs to be something that they can carry through. And it wasn't. It was just, to me, basically a standalone Scream film. And I kind of went, like, I didn't dislike it, but I was like, oh, all right. So, but then I came away scratching my head. We're like, okay, so where's this basis for the new trilogy?
Yeah.
And obviously, God rest his soul, Wes Craven has passed away. So I don't want to speak ill of and especially someone as legendary as him. But I just felt like, it felt like, no, this just feels like a victory lap to me. It feels like a cash grab. It felt like a nostalgic.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah.
Right. Am I wrong? Did you feel differently, or?
I did. I thought it was a cash grab, which, again, if somebody's offering you money and fans are like, I think we want another Scream, there should be, even though they did wrap it up beautifully in Scream 3. That would have been a wonderful end to a brilliant trilogy, which, again, the sequel one-upped the first, the original, and then the third one actually one-upped the sequel. It would have been the perfect end to a brilliant trilogy. I guess fans wanted more. And the studios were probably going, shit, we don't have anything right now. We need something that's going to work. We need some money. Scream 4. Yeah.
So my response to that then is, don't say it's part of a trilogy. Just say, hey, there's a new Scream movie coming. Right? Like, don't. I'm cool with that. Yeah. But don't build me up to think that this is, because that's what I'm looking for. Then all of a sudden you pull it away from me. So why didn't you just say we're doing another Scream film, and we'll see how it goes from there?
But it worked, though. It drew you in, and it drew the rest of us fans in, because we wanted to know, after Scream 3, what the hell else could they do? It piqued our interest. It drew us in, because the morbid curiosity, even though we're like, wait a minute, you're kind of pushing the limits here. Don't screw this up for us. We loved the original 3. You ended it brilliantly. Don't fuck it up. But it drew us in. We wanted to know.
You make a really valid point. but I gotta give you a counter to that. Yes,
Okay.
they may have drawn us in for
Uh-huh.
the fourth movie,
Quoth the
but
Raven evermore.
oh, all right, Mister Freaking Edgar Allan Poe. Here's the issue. They turned me off of coming to see Scream 5. Scream 5,
Mhm.
I gotta tell you, is the
Uh-huh.
only one of the entire series that I didn't see in a movie theater. When I heard they Scream 5 was coming, I had such a not as a bad taste in my
Yeah.
mouth, but I was so meh from Scream 4. I didn't care. And I didn't go see it. I have another buddy who's a massive script, and he is like, dude, it's so cool. You got to see it. You got to see it. And I'm like, yeah, I'll get around to it. Like, no, 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 you got to see it, man. You got
Yeah.
to. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. You like it? I was. So it wasn't until about a year after
Uh-huh.
I watched it on streaming.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, man, I have never seen a series, a franchise,
Yeah.
come out with something so cool,
Hmm.
so deep. Like, I wish I'd seen it on the big screen because,
Yeah.
damn, it is. Oh my God, that five is absolutely, in
Yeah.
my opinion, one of the best movies in the franchise. You tell me,
Uh-huh.
what were your feelings on five? You tell me.
You mean the requel?
The requel. Oh yeah, that's right. That term, the requel.
They
Yes,
coined that phrase and it worked.
and it sticks,
I
right? It
loved it.
works. It
I
does.
loved
Yeah.
it. Again, it's one upping each other for originality. They had to. There was nothing that they could do other than what they did. Because for fans like us, and with number four, as you said, left a bad taste in your mouth. You know, you don't want to do that again to your fans. You don't.
Right.
And the killers, who they were, and why they did what they did, again, they kept besting themselves to stay relevant and to make the audience feel fulfilled and not come out of the theater going, I want my 2 hours back. I want
Right.
my $15 back for the ticket. I want my $25 back for the popcorn and soda that is exorbitantly priced. It didn't. Fans were left going, thank you.
That's right, because the killers were basically making their own movie,
Yeah.
right? But that's
And going back to the trope where art or life was imitating art, it was the influence. It's not their fault. It's society's fault and media's fault.
but the craziest thing
Yeah.
and the
But it was
coolest
brilliant.
thing,
Yeah.
they brought back Billy Loomis, and how original, like how clever
Yeah.
was that?
Yeah.
We're going back and we find out
Mhm.
that he got a high school girl pregnant, and he has Melissa Barrera was his daughter.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow. And the way that they're having, and they're Ski Ulrich back, and they're having those
Yes.
conversations in the mirror
Yes.
and stuff, the
Yes.
stuff. They freshened it up, and they
Yeah.
obviously they brought back the legacy
Yeah.
characters
You
like
had
Courtney
to.
Cox and
Yeah. Yeah.
and Nev Campbell and stuff. But to me, that whole Melissa Barrera, Skeet Ulrich thing, I thought was because there was also like almost, it's like, is it in her head? Or is she
Mhm.
really? Because if you remember when he gets to the
Yeah.
end of the movie, or close to the end of the movie, and
Yeah.
she's in a critical situation, and she sees him in the mirror, and he beckons to the weapon, and she goes. Now it's like, okay, is that in her mind? Did she see the weapon, and that's her? Like, she's psychotic, or is this his spirit or something? Like,
Yes. Yes.
I was wow,
Yeah.
man, and how
I
much fun.
No. It again. It was wonderfully done, brilliant. And again, that was the last thing you would expect for them to bring Skeet Ulrich back as Billy Loomis, especially in that dynamic, in his daughter's head, kind of like that wise sage fatherly in a psychotic way, aspect where the obviously she never knew her father, okay, but she knows of him, all the history. That's messing with her mind. And to have that weight on her shoulders, knowing her lineage, and with everything going on, it's triggering. That's coming to the forefront. So his voice, seeing him as a spiritual vision, is it because she is the killer? Is it driving her to follow in her father's footsteps? Or is it something entirely that battle, that dynamic of saying, no, I'm not my father, I'm not the one, and again, leaving people guessing. Was it too simple? Was it too easy? It would have been. And I think that would have been the disappointment. If they would have made her the killer, I would have been pissed. Just like you felt with Scream 4, I would have felt with Scream 5.
Yeah, it would have been cliche, but they didn't. They were too smart. Can I show you? Can I show you the face I pulled when I saw Billy Loomis?
Yes.
There was actually two of them. When I first saw him in the mirror, I went like this. Then I went. I was like, man, just so. I mean, unfortunately, we lost Dewey in the movie, right? I mean, they had. Yeah. How many times can these people go through this and survive, right? So that was a bold move. Like somebody had to go. It's either Sydney, Courtney Cox. It's either Sydney or Gail Weathers or Dewey. And unfortunately, it was Dewey, right?
Yeah. But well, like we were saying, in the second one, okay, you killed off a fan favorite. You know? Randy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can't do that to Dewey in the same damn movie, even though you thought Dewey was a goner. I mean, come on. How many times does the guy have to get stabbed to go down? But if you would have killed two fan favorites in one movie, we would have been up in arms. People would have just been screaming.
Exactly. I see what
bloody
you did
murder.
There. I see what you did there. But they were way too smart, and they played it perfectly. And the real, it's funny because my two eldest sons had not seen it, and we were having a night over, and I was like, hey, we do this like where it's like, hey, somebody pick a movie, and I was like, hey guys, can we watch Scream 5? And they were like, and Jared, my eldest, was like, well, I've heard good things about it. All right, go on, Dad, put it on. And it was a joy to watch them. What they were so into it.
Yeah.
Like it was like that feeling you get when you're in a good movie in the movie theaters and the audience is reacting. I'm watching. Like Jared, fortunately, neither of them knew the Billy twist. So when that happened, they did a similar face to the faces that I just showed you a minute ago, right? Which is cool.
Yeah.
And they came out of it. And Jared is a harsh critic. He can be a very harsh critic of films, right?
Bless his heart. I wonder where he gets that from.
But yeah. What's the expression? The apple don't fall far from the tree. But
there you go.
But he looked at me and he's like, Dad, you know what? That was brilliantly done. You're absolutely right. That was excellent. And the obviously, if you've still got something to say about Scream 5, by all means. But I was just going to say, just quickly, I have never been so coming out of a sequel thinking to myself, I'm excited to see a 6. I want to see, if they did this, I want to see what they do with the 6th film, right? Yeah. So, and do you have any more thoughts on 5?
Well, no, just like, going into it, I never saw him in the theater. My youngest daughter, Shyla, she's my horror maven. She's my little horror maven. I mean, her and her sister were more into horror movies than my son, even though my son would watch them with us. But my youngest, she's my little horror maven. And we would watch horror movies together all the time. And I asked her, I go, well, have you seen Scream 5? And she goes, oh, yeah, I did. What did you think? Daddy, you got to watch it. They did really well. That sold me. When she told me I had to watch it, I trusted her, and she was spot freaking on.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then we get that poster for. I mean, I loved right at the poster for Scream VI when they
Uh-huh.
started and it's got that tagline on it: New York, new
Yeah.
rules. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh baby, wait, what are you gonna do? Yeah, I gotta say, that's the one I saw. That's funny though. That's the one I saw in Chicago as well. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, go. Yeah. No,
go
going
for
into New York, they should have said, "Start spreading the news.
it.
The killer's coming today. He wants to
Ah,
smash a part of it in old New York."
New York, New York. Yeah, love it. Yeah, no, and again they freshened it up. Now
Yes.
they take it to the they took because when we think about it, outside of the third one, which
Mhm.
was L.A.,
Yeah.
they and even that it was on a movie set. They've never actually physically set one of them in the big city, in a big city like that.
Yeah.
And bam, the sisters are back. Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, they're all back there. Obviously, Sydney wasn't in this one. Courtney Cox
Mhm.
is back. They open that opening where you've
Mhm.
got again. They did the same thing. They play against type. You've got the woman going to the date and she's talking to the person on the phone, and you know it's the killer. You're like, oh, she's gonna get stabbed in a second. Wait for it. And then what
Yeah.
do? They have the killing.
Mhm.
Then the killer goes home and unmasks himself, and I'm like, they're
Yeah.
showing us who the killer is in the opening
Yeah.
moments of the film. What? And then
Yeah.
he gets killed, and he's like it was just
Yeah.
boom, you're spinning again. You're like,
Yeah.
where are you gonna go with this? Like, holy shit. Um, I gotta say the one scene that really I tell you, like, and I'm
Uh-huh.
a I'm a tough guy to really like hit those suspense buttons with me and
Uh-huh.
scare me. But I'll tell you, when I was watching that scene with the, remember where they've got the the apartment they're staying in, and the
Yes, yes,
killer,
yes. And then across the other side. Yes.
the ladder,
Yes.
yeah, that
Yes. Oh
ladder
man.
scene, I would say that's one of the best scenes in the entire franchise. That was so like you're watching them trying to get
Oh.
across one or the other, and you're like, oh my god, now the other one's gonna go, and the killer's there, and it's like
Yeah.
somebody's going,
Yeah.
and they keep making it. Oh, this person's done. No, 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 they're safe. No, the other one's done.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Dude, with my severe anxiety and fear of unstable heights,
oh shit.
if I was if I was one of them that had to go across, I'd say, fuck it. I'll take my chances with the killer. Fuck this. No, no. At least here I got a fighting chance. I'm looking down, man, and that's shaky. No, no, ain't gonna happen.
Boom. And then we get to the end of that movie, and they do it like what is that? One, two, three killers
Yes,
in this one, right? Like,
yes.
and I do have to, and this is actually why I need to go back because they brought back one of the characters. What's that actress? The Hayden Panettiere? Is that the
Oh
correct?
yes, yes.
The
From
Scream 4. She was one of the
Scream 4.
characters in
Yes, yes,
Scream.
yes.
So I
And
do.
again, they tie it together.
Now that they've so beautifully tied that in, I need to
Mhm.
go back and give. Now that we've got this wonderful franchise, I need to go back and see if maybe I was just watching it with the wrong eyes when I watched it the first time, right? Maybe
Yeah.
maybe I'll have maybe I'll have a new opinion this
Yeah.
time around.
But I'm so glad that they brought her back. I haven't seen her do anything in a long time, and she's an exceptional actress. I'm
It's
so
very
glad that
good.
they brought her back and they brought back the character. Again, the writers each and every time earned their paycheck, earned it. And,
Yeah,
and the proof is in the pudding after the box office opening. The studios, they're calling them up. Yeah, you definitely earned that one. Good job. We'll hire you again. And they're like,
yeah,
the writers are like, cha-ching.
right. So now we got to see where they go with Scream 7, right? I mean,
Now that,
I know,
yeah.
unfortunately, I mean, I know we don't like to talk about politics, and we're not going to talk about politics
No,
unless it's the politics of dancing.
the politics of
Oh, Feeling good. The politics of moving. Oh, this is message understood. Sorry, yeah. Okay.
Thank you, folks. We're here all week. Try the veal and please tip your waiters.
We're not going to talk politics, but obviously you and I both know, the story behind Melissa Barrera was fired and Jenna Ortega left. So we don't have the sisters.
Hold on. So we no longer have the Carpenters. We've only just begun.
Oh God, we're going to start. Hey, why don't we just start a new podcast where we just sing for 40 minutes?
Yeah, why not? Okay. So we no longer have the Carpenters.
No, we no longer have the Carpenter sisters. So now that again, that's kind of like made you like, well, okay, so where are you going to go with? But they are bringing back the other two of the core four, what they were calling themselves, and obviously bringing us back as to the beginning of the show, we got Matthew Lillard, right? So now we got Nev Campbell of the legacy characters is Nev. Sydney's back. Gail Weathers is back, and now we know Stu's back.
Yes.
Above and beyond that, we know nothing, but I do know that I am super excited to see it and to see where they go with this one.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting for sure, because the twins, the brother and sister, which were the niece and nephew of Randy.
Yep.
And definitely carried the torch, especially the sister. She was the epitome and expert on horror movies, just like Uncle. I loved their characters. I loved how they interacted with each other. I loved how they interacted with the Carpenter sisters and brought that element, that homage and that spirit of Randy back. So I'm so glad that these two are going to be back in 7.
It's nice that the character of Randy Meeks is never forgotten. He's always like that was a wonderful thing, like you say, that homage of having them being his niece and nephew or whatever. That was wonderful.
Yeah,
brother, I have enjoyed this so much. I always enjoy our chats, but it's a nice little walk down memory lane with a beautiful franchise, and I will stand by it to Kingdom Come. I love the Scream movies. So so
2026 projected, right? 2026.
That's my understanding, and I mean, like, generally these kind of movies, like they're unlike things like the Marvel movies and stuff like that. They can generally knock them out pretty. I mean, we saw it with Scream 2. They knocked it out sometimes. So yeah, I guess we'll have to come back and discuss it.
Yes, we will.
After we see it. All right. iScreamers, I hope you've enjoyed this as much as we have. We apologize for the singing. We won't be doing that on a regular basis. We'll just be cracking out once.
Totally sorry. That's my fault. I'll own that. I'll take the blame. I profusely apologize, iScreamers. I can't promise it won't happen again. I'm sorry. Come on, it's me.
But you know what impresses me?
Huh?
The fact that you apologized. Do you know why that impresses me? The sorry seems to be the hardest word. iScreamers, we'll be back in 2 weeks. We love you. This is Lime saying good night. This is Mr. Cool J saying.
Lawrence E. Gibbs saying, iScreamers, your bi-weekly screams will be back for you.
Subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification button. We need you. Good night. God bless. We'll see you soon.